Hey, que la que hay, mi gente? It's Rocky here from SpeakSpanishFaster.com. And in today's video, I want to help everybody that can understand Spanish, but they just can't speak it yet. They just can't seem to get over that hump and start speaking Spanish yet. Now, if you are that person that can understand Spanish, but you can't speak it yet, don't worry. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't have any disability. It's not that you'll never be able to speak Spanish. This is a natural phase of learning a language. Think about a child that is learning their very first language. They could probably speak a little word. They say some words here and there, but they aren't speaking perfect yet. But they can understand pretty much everything the parent says to them. This is the same exact phase that's going to happen when you learn a second language, a third language. Every single language you learn, you have to be able to understand it first, and you will have the ability to understand well even before you start speaking well. But in today's video, I want to give you a few tips that can help you get out of that just understanding phase and help you jump into the phase of actually being able to speak. And I'm going to give you a few tips that I use to learn different languages. The first thing you want to do is you want to prepare. You want to prepare the words, the phrases that you're going to be using to kind of help kick off your speaking. Kick off your conversations. The best way to do this is think about your everyday conversations that you are having in your native language, whether it's on the phone, whether you're talking at home with your spouse, whether you're at the bank, a restaurant, the library, no matter where you are at, think about how those conversations go. Try to transcribe them if possible. Maybe think about, okay, last night at the dinner table, my wife and I, we talked about X. And think about how did that conversation go. Write down that conversation in your native language and then try to translate it and see how it would sound in Spanish. Of course, if you can understand Spanish well, you can probably do this. And that's why you have to wait. That's why I tell people never just jump into speaking. It takes time. You should never try to speak Spanish on your first day, in my opinion, because you need that base, you need that foundation of listening and consuming a lot of the language so that you know the words. Now, you might not know every word and you could always use a translator, but try to put this conversation together in Spanish and then rehearse that conversation. So this is the preparation that goes into it, because the same conversations you're having in your native language are the same conversations you're going to have in Spanish, just in Spanish. Now, the next thing you can do is use messaging apps like WhatsApp or iMessage, just back and forth voice messages that you have with people. That way you're not asking them like, hey, can I record this message? Their message is kind of automatically recorded because they speak into the phone. But what happens is these can stay on your phone, and then you can kind of write down the conversation that you have with your friend, and you can transcribe it yourself, write it, type it, whatever you want to do, and then do the same thing that I just told you, translate it into Spanish and try to rehearse that Spanish conversation. So this is a great way you can prepare in your own native language. You can prepare the conversations for how they would be and then translate them to Spanish and then rehearse those. That way you are designing the words you're learning and the phrases you're learning are catered to you. They're catered to the words that you and your friends use on an everyday basis. Now, the next progression from messages in your native language are to do the same thing, except this time in Spanish. So, of course, you have to have a Spanish buddy or Spanish partner. And I'll tell you a good way that you could find a buddy in a second. But what you want to do is follow the exact steps I just listed in Spanish. So you would be talking with someone on a messaging app in Spanish. They would be talking back to you in Spanish. Now, the beauty with this is you are getting to practice your speaking in a setting that is more calm. There's really no pressure on you. If you mess up in your message, you can stop, re-record it. You could think about what you want to say. You could even write down what you want to say, and you could keep practicing that message until it sounds perfect. Then the person will speak back to you in Spanish. What you can do is try your best to write down what they say. You can use the Google Doc secret that I showed you in my last video to transcribe what they say if there's a word or two that you just don't know. And then you can think about what you want to respond. And not only that, but when you actually do respond, I'm sure there are going to be times where you have to use an English word because a word might slip your brain while you're recording the message. Well, you can either stop and re-record it and look up that word, or you could just send the message, go back and listen to your Spanish. How did it sound? How was the accent? How was the pronunciation? What word did you stumble on? What word do you think you got wrong? Write that word down, find the answer, insert it back into that conversation, and then practice with the correct way. So rehearse how you should have said it. So for example, here's a message that my cousin left me a few days ago.
Sí, brother, sí, súper saludable. Ese pan, se ha hecho, ese pan está ahí tan natural que tienes que mantenerlo en buena temperatura, en el freezer, o que la nevera esté bien fría, porque no tiene preservativo y se daña rápido. Y es súper bueno porque el carbohidrato que tiene no tiene nada de harina, está hecho ay Dios mío, no sé ni cómo se llama esto, de sprouts, que eso es de grano.
So pretty much me and him, we were talking about nutrition, we were talking about fitness and things like that. And in that specific conversation, we were talking about Ezekiel bread, which none of that even matters. But what matters is what I could do is transcribe that whole conversation like I just did for you, and then translate it, which I just did for you. And then I could study that. And I could look up words. Maybe he said a few words that I didn't know. And then I could think about my response back to him. Maybe I responded a few days ago back to him. Actually, I didn't respond. That was kind of the last message we had. But now when I want to respond, I could either think about what I'm going to say. If I'm just getting started, I can write down what I want to say. I can practice rehearsing what I'm going to say. Then I can say it. Then if I stumble on a word or something, I can, let's say I send it already and I listen back to my own voice. Then I can listen where I stumble. Maybe I inserted an English word because I'm always speaking Spanglish. And let's say just the word didn't hit my mind at the time and I want to look up, oh, how would I say that? Then I can kind of rehearse how that conversation would go had I not inserted that English word. Now, doing all this should really help your confidence. Confidence is huge when it comes to speaking a language and sounding authentic when you speak a language. That confidence is huge, and that's why I think you should start out in these small speaking exercises first before you jump to actually speaking in real conversations with other people. This will allow you to, again, build your confidence, get comfortable with the language, and then when you feel that you are comfortable, when you feel you are ready, then you can start taking classes or lessons on something like italki. And again, I always say this, whenever you use a website like italki where you talk with other people, you're not looking for a teacher, you're looking for a speaking buddy. So don't go on italki and find somebody that's going to teach you grammar and conjugation. We know that's not how you learn a language, that's not how you will learn to speak Spanish fluently. And then you can ask them, which I always ask my speaking buddies this, and they never care, can I record this call? Then now you have a 30-minute or an hour-long call with somebody speaking Spanish, and you have it recorded. So now you can do the same exact exercise we did at the small scale with the messaging apps. Now you can do it on a larger scale with a longer video to practice with, because now you have 30 minutes of just speaking with somebody in Spanish. And then from there, maybe you build, after a few lessons, you build a good relationship with that person, and you ask them like, hey, I'm on WhatsApp. Do you mind if I have your WhatsApp? Maybe I can send you a message a day, like a minute of just speaking Spanish, and then work your way up to 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. 5 minutes is kind of long, but it just goes to show you can find a friend. I have like 4 Italian friends that I speak with on WhatsApp. 2 of them speak Napoletano too, which is another language that I speak, and I practice with them every single day, whether it's just 1 minute, 2 minutes, anything. But that's how you hold yourself accountable. Take classes with numerous italki teachers. So now you have different friends that you could talk to. So that's kind of the progression, because if you're not comfortable speaking, I don't want you to just dive off the deep end and just start trying to speak with somebody that you're not comfortable with. And that's really going to hurt your confidence, which is going to hurt your speaking ability. It's going to hurt your accent and all that. Now, the last tip I have when it comes to speaking is don't stop consuming Spanish. This is a big mistake I see a lot of people make, and it's why they kind of plateau. It's because once they feel they're comfortable to start speaking, they will maybe take an italki class once a week, or they'll talk with somebody or listen to music still, or they'll talk to somebody for 10 minutes, but they'll stop doing the foundational exercises that got them to the level they're at. So they'll stop consuming Spanish every day. They'll stop consuming 30 minutes to an hour. And that is a recipe for disaster. Don't get me wrong, speaking with people is great because, of course, you're practicing your speaking ability, but you're also getting comprehensible input when they're talking back to you. But that isn't just enough, especially if you're only doing like 1 class a week. Now, if you're talking 7 days a week on italki, okay, that's one thing. But if you're talking once a week, or you might call your grandma or your friend and speak with them for 5 minutes, that's not enough Spanish practice for the day. You still need to get in your comprehensible input so you can continue to build on top of that foundation of words, vocabulary, and consuming Spanish. So those are my tips for you today to help you get out of that just understanding phase and get to the speaking phase. So let's kind of quickly recap what we covered. So the first thing is to prepare. The best way to do that is first start in your native language with everyday conversations and try to think about those conversations, translate them to how they would be in Spanish. From there, if you have a Spanish friend, you can start doing messages in Spanish and things like that so that you can, on a smaller scale, practice your Spanish speaking ability where there's really no pressure on you to perform because you can record, you can re-record, you can rehearse until you feel comfortable. Then from there, when you really start to feel comfortable, then you can kind of move on to speaking with other people. But no matter how much you speak, don't forget that you have to continue to consume. We don't even realize it, but every day in our native language, we're consuming, whether it's on TV, whether it's somebody talking to us, whether it's people in the neighborhood talking and we're walking by. We are getting that input without even knowing it. So you might think that you're just speaking all day and that's why you're speaking well, but in reality, everything you see is in your native language. Read, hear, all that's in your native language. You have to try to do the same thing for Spanish. Of course, not everything you touch or see or hear is going to be in Spanish, but the more of it that is, the better for you and your Spanish ability. If you found this video helpful and you are looking to take your Spanish to the next level, I have a free training for you where I show you my 3 biggest secrets to becoming fluent in Spanish, to being able to comprehend Spanish, to being able to speak Spanish. If you're interested, all you have to do is click the first link in the comments. That'll take you to a page where the training is at. It's 100% free. You could go check it out right now. If you found the video helpful, do me a big favor. Hit the thumbs up for me. Comment below. Please comment below. Let me know what else you need help with. I'm here to help you as much as possible. Last but not least, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss another video. Until next time, I'll see you then.